welcome to the new member orientation for IDEAStudio at the West Houston Institute. We're excited to invite students, educators, and staff from across Houston Community College and our partner institutions to become members of the Makerspace. We believe that by having diverse interests represented, we will create the kinds of intersections that will lead to true creativity and innovation on campus. In this orientation, you're going to learn more about the kinds of activities you can participate in as a part of IDEAStudio, your roles and responsibilities as a member of the Makerspace, and most importantly, how to safely work while using our tools and our spaces. With that, let's go ahead and get started. And Israel, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Jordan. Yes, today we're going to introduce you to one of the hidden gems of Houston Community College. Let's take a look and see what we have to cover today. In this video, we're going to talk about the WHI, then we will talk about the IDEAStudio specifically. After that, we'll do a quick tour of the space. Next will be a quick discussion on our safety guidelines. And finally, I'll talk about what the next steps are after watching this video to onboard you as a full member of the IDEAStudio. In 2018, Houston Community College established the West Houston Institute. Located on the A-Leaf Hayes campus, the WHI is actually a system-wide initiative that focuses on all forms of innovation. In alignment with HCC's overarching vision, mission, and values, the WHI2 operates with the mission and set of values from the perspective of innovation. The staff of the WHI all operate with these principles in mind. Whether it is our unique learning commons, or the collaboratorium, or the IDEAStudio, or our high-tech event space, the WHI seeks to infuse its students and the community at large with the tools to navigate into the 21st century. One of the iterations of the WHI is the IDEAStudio. The IDEAStudio is HCC's only full makerspace. What is a makerspace, you ask? Well, simply put, a makerspace is a place where you make things. Think of it as a high-tech tool shop. In a moment, I'll go over all the tools that we have that you can train on and therefore get access to. The name of our space is actually an acronym. IDEAS stands for Innovation and Design in Entrepreneurship and the Arts and Sciences. There are several ways that you can interact with our space. First and foremost is our membership program. The way that we manage access to the IDEAStudio is through a membership model. This just helps us track who's coming into the space, how often, how long, etc. There is no cost to membership. Your only expense will be for the consumables that you use in the space. It also helps us manage your access to the various tools. Now that brings me to another way that you can interact with the IDEAStudio. We offer training courses and workshops that center around the equipment that we have. These training courses are introductory in nature, and successful completion of a tool training gives you the ability to use that tool. Every so often, we will offer special workshops centered around a specific build, say a 2 or 3 week guitar making class. These workshops will usually have a cost associated with it. The majority of traffic in the IDEAStudio is from students who are working on a graded project tied to a course that they're enrolled in. Finally, the IDEAStudio will occasionally sponsor community events. This means events like maker conferences, cosplay how-tos, a 3D printer open house, etc. Now, when you become a member, you will be joining a creative community where you can develop the mindsets and skill sets that will empower your future success. These benefits include use of all work areas within the makerspace, training workshops on the use of all of the tools, storage space for project materials and consumables, and special access to membership and networking opportunities. Now, while as the saying goes, membership has its privileges, it also has its responsibilities. As creative and collaborative of a space as it's intended to be, it still is basically a couple of things. First, it is a tool shop. In such an environment, there is a higher risk of injury than that of a classroom. With that knowledge, it is vital that you be mindful of safety considerations for yourself. There is a high expectation that you will follow all safety guidelines and follow the instructions of the IDEAStudio staff. Second, the space is a public space. This means that you're responsible for cleaning up after yourself. In fact, one of the lessons that you'll learn about making is that you have to allot time for cleanup when you budget your work time in the space. Finally, we are a makerspace, and we endeavor to maintain a maker culture. This means that your expertise or inexperience has no bearing on the collaborative process. If you don't know how to do something, all you have to do is ask another member. We hope that if you're asked a question, that you'll be generous with your knowledge. Let's go now to the IDEAStudio and see what the space has to offer. All right, here we are in the IDEAStudio. And so when you walk in through the main doors, here you're going to see our little reception area. And this is where you go in order to sign in and get yourself prepared to work about the space. And right over here, we have a little classroom where you can go and other people can go to work on projects kind of in a little bit of privacy that you can kind of hear each other. If you look out into the main space here, we have our what's called the assembly area. And so this is the area where we do all of the work, right? This is where almost all the work happens. We have our work tables here, we have some tool chests and some other places where you can grab some hand tools and do your projects. And so let's make our way to each one of the individual tools and we can talk about each one of those. All right, so over here we have a first aid kit here. I wanted you to know where that is. This is our 3D printing area. This is where we do all of the 3D printing. And again, we have all the different kinds of trainings to give you access to these tools. So we have two different kinds of printers in the space. These are our FFF printers and these are our SLA printers. We have tool trainings for either type. And so when the time comes and you're ready to train, sign up for those trainings and you'll be able to have access to these printers. Let's look at some other places, other tool areas in the space. So this is our electronics area, and this is where we can do all the stuff for electronics, you know, soldering, and if you want to do Raspberry Pi projects or Arduino projects, this is where we would do all of that stuff here. Moving on over to the laser cutters. We have two 120 watt laser cutters here. These are CO2 cutters. These have the capabilities of graving into wood and into plastic. We can't quite cut metal, they're not quite powerful enough to do that, but we do have some capability of etching into metal. So when the time comes and you're ready to do a project, come take the tool training guide and we'll help you with getting that set up to do your project. Let's move our way over here to the textile area. So the textile area, you can do a lot of different kinds of things. That's kind of a general term, but the most popular thing that we do in this space with the textiles is the vinyl cutter. And so we have two large vinyl cutters here. There's one here and there's one there. And we also have the heat press that kind of goes along with that. And so you can create stickers or other decals that can go on your laptop or on a wall. But you can also use different kind of vinyl to go on fabric, like t-shirts. And so here's an example of one of those shirts. So, you know, you cut out your design and you can use the heat press in order to press it onto your fabric, onto your shirt. So again, training available for that. We also have a 16 thread embroidery machine here, and so this has the ability to embroider onto fabric. And so here we have like a little sample shirt here. Our cameraman did most all this work here himself. Yeah, you can see all the different kinds of things that you can do with the embroidery machine. Let's make our way around to some other areas of the space. We have a large sink here with a fire extinguisher. I want you to note where the emergency exit is, right over here. It's right next to our conference room. And again, we have another space here inside this little conference room, inside this little wooden area here. This is another place where you can go to talk with, you know, your other fellow members a little more privately. Again, out here it's a little hard to hear people from about 5 feet and beyond or 6 feet and beyond. So if you needed to hear a little bit better, we have a dry erase board in there to do a little bit of designing. So that's another place that you can go. We have some restrooms back here. We have the two restrooms back here. We have our staff offices. We have a small little kitchen. We have a large format plotter over here. Let's work our way into the wood shop. Okay, so here in the wood shop, this is a place where you can normally do all the things that you think about when you're in a wood shop, right? We have our table saw, we have our chop saws and a drill press, and all those kinds of things that you would do in a wood shop. I'll point out the fire extinguisher again here. We also have a large CNC machine. This is our ShopBot. This is our CNC router. It's got a full 4x8 cutting surface, and so you can bring in full sheets of plastic or wood or metal and cut out your designs. This has been quite useful for me, so hopefully I'll be able to train you guys on this tool as well. Let's make our way to the next space. All right, so this is our metal shop, and this is, again, another place where you normally, when you hear the term metal shop, all the things that you can do in that kind of space mostly can be done in here. So we have our chop saws and our lathe and our horizontal band saws. We even have a welding area over here where we mainly do MIG welding, but we have other capabilities as well. We also have some CNC capabilities. We have a CNC plasma cutter here, so this can cut a full 4x4 area. And we also have our Tormach CNC mill, which has got a 10-bit changer on this. So yeah, you can do quite a number of things in the metal shop as well. Again, we don't do the full training courses that you would normally take 16 weeks or a credit class that you would have to take. We just do either an hour and a half or maybe even up to a half a day training course in order to give you access to these tools. All right, so let's come on out here. Well, all right, so that is the tour of the IDEAStudio. So let's move on to the next section of safety guidelines and we'll talk about that. Thank you. Your next step now is to review the Member Orientation Guide. This guide is the source material for the safety quiz you need to take and pass to be onboarded as a member. Once you've completed the membership process, you will have access to the IDEAStudio and the ability to book time with the tools after you've completed each individual tool training. Thank you very much for watching this orientation video. I, along with the rest of the staff, look forward to seeing you becoming a member of the IDEAStudio and in the space. I can't wait to see the creative ideas that you come up with in the IDEAStudio. Thank you.